Hi everybody, my name's Ruth Colson and today we're going to introduce you to a software project that I'm part of with the rest of the team. So I'm going to be introducing to Philippa, who's worked on this project, and also you'll be talking to Michael at Arcus Studios as well. So I'll tell you a little bit about me first. I'm working as an independent Fulldome consultant. So for those that don't know about the dome environment, it's the planetarium environment, and I've been working with this medium in filmmaking for the last 15 years. So if you think of 360 like having a calendar on your head, so I've been doing business development within that sphere for a long time. I do the business side of things, so I work on looking at funding, looking at the market, talking to the clients as well, and give a little bit of an idea to the planetarium sector. It's about 1,500 big in terms of domes, and they're all different sizes all around the world. They can be small, so when I'm talking small, like inflatable, so you can have them from 3-6 meters up to the biggest one in the world, which is a 30-meter screen. So it's quite a small market in terms of filmmaking, but obviously it has crossovers as we talk through Festoon and why we created it into the VR market, as well as any traditional animation. So we're really excited. Festoon's just recently been launched. Let me introduce you to Philippa Day. She's our lead developer and co-director, and she's worked in 3D animation and software development for over 13 years. And we both used to work together at the award-winning NSC Creative. They're based in the National Space Centre in Leicester. And, we'll touch on a little bit of some of the work that we've done for them through our presentation. But now we've each set up as our own consultancy business. Philippa will talk more about her other work that she does, but she publishes immersive products under the name Whirligig Productions. So do check this out. So let me introduce you to Philippa.
Hi, thanks, Ruth. As Ruth said, I've worked with her for quite a few years now in NSC Creative. Let me move one slide forward. Just should we leave that? Actually, we'll leave that. Yeah, I've worked in the industry for 13 years. My prior experience before that was within the film industry, working in adverts, and university I went and did fine art, film and video. So I've had throughout my career very high interest in video presentation and video short films. When I started working at the Space Centre, one of the things that really intrigued me was the Fulldome way in which we developed films. So having that full 360-degree environment to be able to do storytelling. And initially when I started there, I worked in computer animation, but over the time of my work there, I developed and moved towards actual programming and creating tools for the actual studio. So this is something that we'll move on to, and which is Festoon is based on. So one of the problems that we've had within the industry, and especially now, is the fact that we can't actually get into a dome, or we access to the media that we finally have to actually display our work on is very much more difficult now. And for studios which don't have access to a dome, if you've ever been to the Space Centre in Leicester, you'll know that they've got a full planetarium, and we'd present our stuff in there. But I was tasked with working out ways in which to kind of make that development process easier. Now, after I finished working at the Space Centre, I got in touch with Arcus Studios. They got in touch with me, and I proposed an actual piece of software that would help that whole development process and make it a much shorter process to actually work with. So let's have a look at a trailer of this piece of software, and then we'll continue. Thank you.
as Philippa mentioned earlier, this was born out of a real industry need. As Philippa mentioned, you know, we were part of the National Space Centre. We were lucky enough to have our own planetarium, but it was just getting access. And, you know, we needed to test the content, you know, the scale. As you can imagine, when we work within a circle on a screen. And when you're going in a 17 or 18 metre dome, the speed of the movement front to back, also how it looks as well, is really, really important. Immediate feedback, we wanted to see how the content would look. And because quite often we'd work an awful lot getting it to what we thought would work, and then we'd get in the dome and then see it didn't work at all. It was either too fast front to back, or it's quite easy within the dome environment to make people feel sick. So it was really, we had to test it in some way. Also, a lot of our projects were collaborations, and we had clients overseas, even in the UK and different parts of the world. So whenever we priced on a project, we always had to put in travel costs, whether us going to them or meeting at a dome somewhere. And that really pushed up the cost of producing the content. So it was really important that we found a solution. So out of all these problems, Festoon was born, and Philippa will talk a little bit more about the different features, but I'll just mention a little bit more about how it came, and the rest of the team as well. Michael at Arcus Animation Studio, he was the other partner within this alongside myself and Philippa, and we did receive some financial support from Innovate UK, their fund called the Audience of the Future Award. We as a team were determined to make the Fulldome workflow process easier and faster getting content to market. And we love the Fulldome screen. You know, when we take the portable domes out, people see it and think, wow, shared VR. And so we wanted to encourage more people to engage with this amazing Fulldome platform. And that's, you know, hence why we came together to produce this. Now, let me hand back to Philippa, and she's going to speak more in detail about some of the individual features on the product.
Yes, thanks, Ruth. If I move forward one, now we have, just to give you an overview of the project, so kind of a very brief start. A colleague of ours, Nick, has done a really good introduction. So I'm going to play that first, and I'll go over the features of the individual versions that we've got.
Hi, I'm Nick from Arcus Studios. Welcome to the first in a series of videos about our brand new app, Festoon. So you're working on video content for Fulldome. You're looking at a computer monitor that doesn't really look or feel like being in a planetarium, so it's hard to know how what you're doing here will map onto a giant immersive dome. This would be good to know, but you don't just have a dome hanging around. If you have access to a planetarium, you can preview your work there. But you'll probably need to book in advance and wait days, sometimes even weeks, just to see that your work was wrong to begin with and that you need to go back and change it. Festoon makes this process much quicker. Festoon lets you preview your content on a virtual dome in VR. Speed up your iteration time from weeks to minutes. Preview videos, images, or live mirror from your content creation app of choice. Use markers to make notes and annotations, then save these as PNGs for future reference. Share a multiplayer session with anyone, anywhere in the world. You can also preview your content in a cinema or equi-rectangular environment. Over the coming videos, we'll be showing you everything that you can do with Festoon, so stay tuned.
So I hope that's kind of given you an introduction to what Festoon actually does. From a production point of view, we've been creating it with directors in mind and review process in mind. And my work at the Space Centre when working on Fulldome productions and working with directors, many of the experiences I've had in working out how to interact with that and get feedback has been put into some of the features that we've created for Festoon. One thing we didn't want to do though was create a player or a review system that was limited to a small number of people who could afford it. So we've kind of worked out ways in which to divide it up into 3 different versions that actually give you options for those different tiers. So first off, we've got the Festoon Player. And what we wanted for this was a very simple system where you could watch your content within VR, within a Fulldome environment, moving around the dome, kind of giving you the kind of basis of Festoon itself, but without some of the production elements that I'll go into later. This is intended as a kind of review system rather than an actual production tool, but it is still be very useful for anybody who wishes to work in Fulldome, purely for the fact that you can actually review your footage directly back into a virtual dome and see how that looks within that. Festoon itself, which is the core of the player production tool, has additional features that move more towards production itself. We've got mirroring, which allows you to use other programs within Festoon, and a playlist system that allows you to review back multiple options. And we've kind of tried to make this more of a kind of all-rounded kind of piece of software without some of the more pro versions that are a bit more costly. So if we go on to the pro version, this is where we actually started to look at elements within the player that are more review based, so things that would actually make more sense within a larger studio. So for instance, it has the ability for markers, so directors can mark information directly onto the footage to explain to their artists how they want to change things, and a review system that allows multiplayer, which can be viewed over the internet, and you can view things all within a single environment. And I will go over these a bit more detail as we go. So let's move forward first. So one of the things that we want from all versions of Festoon is a way in which to review stuff, but not only in VR. VR is very much a buzzword at the moment, and a lot of development is within that, and it is a highly useful tool to actually review and play back footage for within Festoon, within a dome environment. It gives you the depth that you need, and it gives you the kind of immersion that allows you to kind of review properly. But we don't want to just limit people to VR. In many ways, studios or individuals might not have VR, or they might not want to use VR during their production processes, as it can be cumbersome to put the headset back on and off. So we've kind of created several ways in which you can actually review footage within a non-VR environment. So within the Fulldome environment, you can switch to a desktop mode, and that allows you to review and view back your footage within a standard games engine 3D environment. You can look around with the mouse and see your Fulldome content within there. And we wanted to push that slightly further as well. One of the major advancements in Fulldome production is the ability to do 3D Fulldome. This is notoriously difficult to review due to the fact that there aren't that many 3D Fulldomes available. And we wanted to provide a way in which to view that footage back in on the desktop and in VR. And one of the systems that we've got in there is an anaglyph system. So if you've got a pair of 3D glasses, your green and blue 3D glasses, you can simply put them on. You get a 3D environment on both the desktop, where you can actually see anaglyph 3D environment that you're in, and also in VR as well, where you can actually see the 3D content that you're working on. As mentioned, we do have the desktop option, but this also leads on to a review system, as you can also view back stuff within the desktop. So one person can review and look around with their mouse, while the other person is simultaneously viewing the footage back within the VR environment. And this can be very useful for when you're reviewing over shots, or if you want to demonstrate something to somebody and you've got the one VR headset. and it really kind of creates more of a production environment rather than an isolated environment, which a lot of VR environments do have. So we're kind of pushing it as a development tool rather than a VR tool, whereas within VR tools, they are mostly completely contained within VR. As a production tool and a review tool, we want it to be directly connected to your desktop and your kind of work process, whether it be using computer animation tools like After Effects or 3D Studio Max. You can jump between this and your actual production tools as well. So we have within the player, we have a selection of predefined environments, ones that are most likely to occur within the industry of Fulldome. So we've created a tilted dome that's with a relatively standard kind of tilted dome. It's a large dome in general, but it kind of gives you a proper feeling of what a tilted dome, which is the majority that you'll get, that you can view your footage in. We have a flat dome as well. Some of the older planetariums are on a flat angle, so you might well want to review your footage back in within those environments to get an understanding of what it's like to have one of the more older domes and see if it does affect the actual footage enough for you to have to change that. And then we have a couple of other formats such as equirectangular, which is perfect for 360-degree video that is in VR video, and also equirectangular footage you might have filmed on a camera. And we have the cinema view as well, so you can watch films back within all your media back within what is essentially a standard cinema with the flat screen directly in front of you. So although we are very much guided towards planetarium and Fulldome content, we are kind of pushing it out to be able to be used for other formats as well. So one of the pro options that we have, and one that we think is very useful for maybe larger production studios, is an ability to customize the dome that you're building towards. So for instance, when I worked at the NSC Creative, some of the actual jobs that we got to create Fulldome films, 25-minute films, that they would be commissioned by a planetarium themselves, and they would pay us to create a dome for their create a film for their planetarium. And one of the great options with Festoon is a way in which to customize your dome, so we can effectively recreate the aspects of their planetarium within Festoon. So we have a much better understanding of how it will look back on the actual commissioned dome that they've been asked for. This also has an advantage of being able to save out presets, and with that option it allows you to have multiple versions. So you could have a dome that's small enough for an inflatable dome or a flat dome, and also kind of the seat arrangement for that environment. By allowing this, you can initially essentially create the dome that you're aiming for, but you can create other domes to be able to kind of see how it would look in all those different environments. We're trying to really kind of make it as user-friendly and as adaptable as possible for any user that wishes to use it.
Yeah, and I just mentioned that no domes are the same. The planetarium doesn't have a standards at all, so everybody seems to have different preferences on tilts, the way the seats are, and you know, whether the film screen comes down to the spring line or comes down to the floor. So it's really important we have that. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those areas of Fulldome production where you do want to create the best possible experience for the final product, and you don't necessarily. Sometimes you're doing it for one specific planetarium, and it'll only be played there. So you really want to have that environment set down. You really want to know that this is exactly how it's going to look. But other instances, it might be a planetarium that wants to sell on their footage, or they wish to have it being toured around in a inflatable dome. And when it comes to that sort of scenario, you do want to be able to see your footage within different dome environments. It's very important when it comes to production, because there is a significant difference to the viewing experience between a tilted and a flat dome. and you're not going to have access to both. Even major studios will only have access to one type. So it's really good to be able to review it in all the different formats that you can. One of the things related to production, and this feature is available in the Festoon and Festoon Pro, is production elements that allow you to work within your dome. So essentially, initially, we wanted a review system for media itself. So videos that you create and stills that you create for maybe storyboarding. But one of the things that seemed very evident early on was that it would be incredibly useful to be able to take in production tools that you use, such as 3D Studio Max, Maya, After Effects, Photoshop, and be able to actually see a direct result of those within your 3D environment. And the way in which we've attempted to solve this is to allow within Festoon an ability to mirror one of your monitors directly into the application itself. So what the advantage of this is, it allows you to pretty much bring anything in. As long as you can mirror that monitor in, you can bring in After Effects or Nuke or all of these different products without having it to have direct access to those production tools. So within that environment, you'd be able to mirror in, say for instance, After Effects, and then within Festoon you can then crop off the area that you specifically want to be shown on the actual planetarium projection. One of the things that this also allows is it gives you a immediate feedback. So if you play a video within After Effects, a preview video, it will play directly back in Festoon, essentially giving you a third monitor for your production that is a full dome environment. And it's already worked with Arcos themselves. Have been using Festoon in all its iterations for the last year, and they found it very useful for doing work within Photoshop and other tools directly, and storyboarding directly onto the full dome instead of actually storyboarding within Photoshop and then working it out later. As I mentioned before, I've been working at the Space Centre for a long time, and I was often in review process of the planetarium content that I was creating. And one of the great options to be able to work with a director is for them to be able to draw directly onto the actual frame itself and say, for instance, this is too bright, this is too dark, too small. And then for me, at a later stage, being able to go back to that and see those review notes. So we've created that within Festoon. Essentially, you can click on markers and you can draw either within the desktop directly onto the actual plate, or you can actually draw onto the full dome itself within VR. These options also allow for text information, so you can add more information within text, and they are contained within a file that is accompanied with the video file itself. So there's no desire to hide any settings or anything like that, and you can take that folder which comes with the video file and share that with anyone else that's working on it. So it really allows more of an open ability to be able to share and review footage. Moving on from that is our multiplayer review system. So once we had all of the marker systems in there and the ability to review stuff and a way to review stuff with one-on-one supervision, we wanted to push that beyond, especially in the current scenario we have where a lot of people are working from home. We really wanted a way in which people could multiplayer in and essentially review footage back from a distance from anywhere around the world. So we've built in a multiplayer option. One person can create a room and then everybody else within the production studio can join that room, and you are effectively within each of your VR or desktop environments sat within the same full dome environment and reviewing back the same footage. It works in exactly the same way as if you're actually just on your desktop. So you can play and pause footage, and anyone can do that. And that will actually play and pause within their environments as well. So you're always looking at the same playback footage, and you're also in the same environment the other people have had. And then if you pause it and wish to draw markers on the actual screen, you can do so, and that will actually be translated to everybody else's everybody else's screens as well. So it really takes away from the studio an ability to actually review and play back footage from remote locations, whether it be a client that wishes to see back your video or whether it be reviewing with your director. This has become so relevant nowadays. A lot of people are working from home, and just being able to actually all meet up effectively online to view back your footage is massively useful currently.
Brilliant.
So back over to Ruth.
Thank you, Philippa. That was really, really great. And I hope it gave everyone a bit more detail on what Festoon can do for you. And, you know, like any software, we're staying active, and we've got other things that we'll be working on in the future. So I'll just talk briefly over some of those. Audio solution, you know, as well as looking at the visual side, audio is really important in any immersive environment, whether it's a cinema screen or whether it's a dome. And again, there's no sound standards. So, you know, we want to produce a tool to help audio artists using spatial sound in a theatrical way. You know, people might want to upgrade their sound systems in their dome and hear the impact of the different speakers. You know, we've seen some 10.1, 20.1, and, you know, lots of other systems and bespoke systems in between. So we're working with an award-winning sound artist, Charlie Morrow, and hopefully that will be something we'll be, you know, you'll be seeing and hearing more from us in the future. Also, Mac version, we don't want to overlook creatives, and we've got a desktop version working in the Mac, and we're looking at the VR version. So that's something really important for us. And different screen types, like Philippa touched on earlier, it's not just what we're doing is, you know, the solution was mainly for the planetarium market, but also there's people that have immersive theatres, they have flying theatres, IMAX, giant screen, anything with a different screen type. This can be custom made to work in any different theatrical or immersive environment. So that's something else we'll be looking at. And also customized branding. If you have a dome that's like 20 meters with 200 seats and you wanted your logo on it, you could actually have a little bit of customizable theming in there. So you could actually use that to showcase any of your work, and it's a virtual, you know, copy of what your actual environment is. And as animation and with Arcus, we're also going to be looking at content production as well. So we're working with some children's IP and lots of other narratives to bring more content into the dome environment. So exciting times ahead for us.
I'd like to just bring up a couple of things. Now, this is our team. Essentially, it's a small team. I'm the developer, so I'm working mostly on the software. We've got the testers and all of the people behind that as well. One thing that that I'd really like to kind of say and is the fact that we have this is the beginning of this journey. We ultimately wanted to create a production tool that would be beneficial for us and our needs as Fulldome content producers, but we wanted to also create a piece of software that would actually work and effectively be useful for the people out there that are also working in this incredibly interesting and exciting format. And for that reason, we've created the tools that are most beneficial for us, but we want people to feed back to us and tell us what would make Festoon a better piece of software for them. There'll be people working in different industries. There'll be people working for different reasons, and certain aspects of Festoon might be massively improved by your feedback to be able to continue developing it. We want it to be just the beginning of this process, and really create a piece of software that is ideal for anyone who wishes to work within Fulldome or 360-degree footage. So your feedback is very, very appreciated.
Thank you, Philippa. So our last slide is our contact details. You know, it's really important to us to get that feedback, as Philippa said, but also check out our website as well, festoonsoftware.com. We've got a range of tutorials, all the different packages that we have available. Also, feel free to contact myself or Philippa, that's my details, or check us out on the Steam platform as well. And, you know, thanks everyone for your time today, and I really hope this has been informative for you. Thank you. Bye from us.